Well, first of all, I have to definitely say a big thank you to Partisia to organizing this thing, and apparently having won the second prize. It's a good recognition and good, amount of support to support the team, of course. And right now, it's all about basically building the stuff, because we are more than halfway down the road to implement our SAFT marketplace with trustless environment and privacy, and apparently without Partisia it would be pretty much impossible to build. So thanks again for this opportunity, really appreciate that, and hope this is a first step to the big future. Thank you. Yeah, so basically the plan originally was to extend our team to make sure that we have more developers to implement our solution faster to the market, because the market conditions, although they are bad for the whole environment, but they are exceptionally good for our product, because there is a liquidity crunch. People are trying to resell their SAFTs, and apparently without like an open and trustless environment in the SAFT marketplace, it is quite impossible to do it. So it's definitely a big step up for us to expand our team and implement this product faster. That I'm blown away by the environment. It's like not your traditional conference or co-working space or whatever. It's a historical place. I mean, every time you lift up the head, you're blown away by the beauty of of all the surroundings. And the content during the both days was exceptional, because I have to say that we are in the space for quite a lot of time, and I mean, we do know quite a lot of things, but I have to say, probably for the first time in all these years, today I actually had a much better understanding what multi-party computation is, just because Ivan was actually speaking, and he gave a very, very clear picture of the history of how it evolved and so on. So no, it's phenomenal. I understand the struggles of a new layer one. Of course, there's so many of them right now in the field, and it's great that Partisia is actually taking the narrative of privacy layer and having all this history that since 2008 of building up this technology is definitely giving you a lot of credibility to the technology and the team as well. And looking at all the people inside here from Partisia, talking to them is exceptional. You don't see this that much in a lot of conferences. So I do believe that there's a big future here. Yeah, I mean, if everything goes the way it starts right now, it's going to be a big future. A new product within this project, which is SAFT marketplace with privacy layer on Partisia. And before we go into the details, let me throw a very practical question to you. Suppose you're one of the early employees, founders, or investors in these companies. Who would like to be one of those? All right. So by now you would probably be very wealthy, right? I mean, with stock options, with investments and stuff like that. The only problem is that you would be very wealthy on paper, because these companies are private. That means that their stock is not traded on stock exchanges. That means that you're very wealthy on paper, but you're struggling for cash. So specifically for these cases, in a traditional world, there's a bunch of companies, a bunch of platforms that already exist that provide that help people to sell their equity in the private companies on the market. Dozens of marketplaces, like 500,000 of users there, each of the leaders turning tens of billions of dollars now for like a decade or more. So it's a big business. Now, in Web3, that's the same story is happening. People are reselling locked tokens. You probably know of it, SAFTs and so on. And apparently this market is growing because, as we all know, whatever is happening in Web 2 is actually moving to Web 3, right? So there's more projects, more employees of these projects, more investors, there is more and more tokens that are due to be sold. So we believe that there is a very high chance to actually get a sizable piece of this market in a couple of years' time, trying to reach this number of at least
a transactional volume of about 1 billion and more. And we believe that the current market situation is actually ideal to get into this market right now, because after the series of crashes, there is tons of distressed assets. Funds and people are actually, there's a high pressure from the sellers. People are struggling from liquidity. So for us, it's an obvious thing that the market is ideal to the mission, with our mission to actually bring this volume of transaction volume on Partisia. That's the ideal scenario. Now, why hasn't this happened yet? The problem is very strange and very normal in a traditional sense, because you have a buyer who wants to know who the seller is, right? Because you don't know if this person would actually comply with the selling contract, and when the tokens are going to be released, will this person actually exist, right? Would he or she actually do the job? And on the other hand, the seller doesn't want to disclose to the market that he or she is actually reselling the SAFT on the open market, because then you would lose the status of a trustworthy investor, diamond hands and stuff. But this stuff is happening. So how does it happen? It happens over a handful of OTCs that are actually running this job, but in a manual basis. So they actually have to go through all this 5-step process, trying to matchmake the buyers and the sellers manually, wrapping it up in a legal format, running all the transactions through their private wallets. Accounting is done in Excel, in spreadsheets, and as the tokens are becoming to be vested over like 2 or 3 years, you actually have to physically transact, each of these transactions through your wallet manually across all of the people. So it's a lot of manual work. Now, with Wheezy, we already automated 4 out of these 5 tasks. The only piece that's missing is basically this automation of matchmaking between the seller and the buyer. I'll probably flip through some of the technical things that are already working on our platform, the legal entity setup, the way how you set up the smart wallet in the format of a DAO, automated accounting with NAV, token prices, success fees, all of that calculated for you, automated distribution of tokens, and going back to the actual product that we have with Partisia is introducing 3 features: the SAFT price discovery auction, the verification of the seller and the SAFT in a trustless environment, and then of course the trustless dispute management system if something goes wrong. Very quick 6-step process of how this thing would work. So you go to the SAFT marketplace, you see the deals, you post your SAFT deal. As you fill out all the terms of this deal, like how many tokens you have, the price that you want, some other things, the vesting calendar, as you create this deal, a set of smart contracts, a DAO smart wallet, let's say, is created, ready for the bids on the buyer side. So the buyer comes in, places the bids in terms of the amount of tokens and the price and the amount of prepayment that the buyer is ready to pay. As soon as you see the bids, you as the seller, if you see good deals that you're ready to take, the next step for you is to go through this 3-step process of verifying that you actually are legit, that you have the SAFT, and you wrap it up in the legal structure to make sure that you actually transfer the rights for these tokens to this other legal entity, which is basically your smart contract. And then you have to hide this in a privacy layer to make sure that it is not disclosed to the public. Now, then after you verify this thing, as a seller, you can then access all the bids that you have and accept the money pretty much, right, from those that you're ready to accept. And the last but not the least, the dispute system. So if something goes wrong, you have an escalation steps sort of process, starting with just automatic notifications for the seller that, hey, the time is up to release the tokens, don't forget about it, down to, well, basically a trustless environment for the seller and the buyer communicate to each other without disclosing their actual contacts. And then, to the bottom line where if something like, if the seller is not responding, then you disclose all the private information, the legal information for the legal proceedings. So that's the process. Some of the additional features based on the big data that would be brought into the platform. We have 3 revenue streams that are working right now on DAO deployment, on deposits withdrawals, exactly like you would do on Uniswap, and as percentage of AUM on the token distribution side. Some of the platforms are actually using this. The competitor landscape is quite vast, and it might take a lot of time to actually go through it because there's various verticals in terms of back-end, front-end solution, multi-product, single product solution, centralized, manual, and so on. But in a nutshell, basically, Wheezy is the only solution that are multi-product, automated, fully automated with automated accounting, which is a key element for asset management, as we all know, right? Because it's not about DAO voting, it's about how you count the money. And that stuff is actually automated for us already. And a few other features that we have. There is a very clear go-to-market strategy for us. We're actually following the model of AngelList. So we have two groups of clients, a community of individual investors, and those who actually post the deals. And there's, again, I think I'm short on time, but I can pull up the slide and actually walk you through it. The way how we go from the current state of one team posting the deals and 2,100 individual investors that actually go into these deals, scaling it up step by step to 1 million and to pretty much all the VCs that would get the peer pressure to actually evaluate their illiquid assets now. I mean, we all know if we invest into private deals right now, we all know our market value of these deals, right? So you would want to post and just, see how much my portfolio is valued right now. So just very quick background, we're in the blockchain since 2017. We're asset managers, so we have a venture division with investments of about 70 projects. Some of them you can see over here. We also have a DeFi division. We also run a few communities in the Russian-speaking part of the world. This is the Wheezy team. Across, well, basically the two industries, banking and FMCG. So for us, again, scaling it is understandable story, and yeah, I would love to hear your questions. Thank you.